Hello guys, how are you all doing? Welcome back to another weekly championship predictions video. Today I'm joined by Harry. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm excited to be back on the channel. It's been a while, I think.
Yeah.
A good few weeks. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. I beat Cookie last week 3-0 in predictions, so I've gone just above the guests. Just above the guests now, yeah.
Cookie's clueless, isn't he?
With 2 weeks of predictions to go, Harry needs to do something for the guests today. Let's get straight into the predictions video with the early kickoff on the Saturday. We have Sheffield Wednesday taking on Nottingham Forest. Now, it is literally a must-win for Sheffield Wednesday. I know they could mathematically still get out if they draw this and win the derby game, but they need to be going into both games trying to win both games. And yeah, if they win this, they give themselves a real chance at being able to beat Derby on the final day and leapfrog them and get out of there. But you've also got to remember Rotherham are down there. Forest been fairly solid this season. They've just been going about their business. A couple of draws lately, so I'm going to go for a draw here. I'm going to go for Wednesday 1, Forest 1.
I think Wednesday are just going to be having to fight for their lives to the point they're just going to try and rag Forest to the point of just exhaustion, really. Forest don't have much to play for, mathematically safe like Cov. So I can actually see this ending up in a smash and grab 1-0 for Wednesday.
1-0 to Wednesday, that would be dramatic. I think neutrals want to see that happen.
I think some Forest fans want it to happen.
Yeah, then it might relegate Derby. There you go, that's a very good point. Moving on to the next game, we have Birmingham City taking on Cardiff City, two teams that are going to be playing Championship football next season. Two teams that are kind of opposite ends of the table, but they've kind of had weird seasons, haven't they? Birmingham were involved in a relegation scrap, they're going to be fine. Cardiff were involved in the playoff race, but they're not going to make it. So it's been interesting, but they both will be playing Championship football next year. It's hard to predict these kind of games because there's nothing else to play for. So I'm just going to sit on the fence and go for a goalless draw.
Birmingham are the form team. Cardiff are a decent team. I don't think either team will care too much about where they finish. I don't think they'll go at this too hard. I think they'll just try and have fun. I say, I'm leaning to a 1-1 for this one.
Yeah. Next up to Brentford versus Watford. Congratulations, Watford fans. You are promoted back to the Premier League. Brentford will obviously want to be joining you guys. They're going to be in the playoffs. It's another one where I don't really know because there's just not a lot riding on it. Watford are promoted now. The only thing they can play for is trying to catch Norwich to get the title, but that's not going to happen. I think Norwich will win the league. And Brentford are in the playoffs. The only thing that will change now is whereabouts they finish in the playoffs. So once again, I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go 1-1.
I sort of feel like Brentford will just want to focus on their momentum and not start losing or having shaky performances in the games leading up to the playoffs. They know they're in there now, so they just want to keep up their good run, make sure that they take the fight to their playoff teams. Where they finish will depend on who they play. I think third plays sixth in playoffs. I'm not sure how it works in Championship, but I think third might play sixth. So that I think momentum will be huge for them. I see this being 2-1 to Brentford.
2-1 to Brentford. Next up then we have Huddersfield taking on my team Coventry. We are safe now despite that defeat to Preston at the weekend. Huddersfield not quite safe just yet, but because of how slow those teams down the bottom end are moving, I think Huddersfield will also be staying up this season. It was 0-0 when we played these earlier in the season, and I'm tempted to go for a draw again because once again, I just think there's not a lot to separate these two teams. Yeah, Huddersfield 1, Coventry 1.
Yeah, I said on Twitter a few days ago that Huddersfield are very lucky that the teams in the bottom three are just as poor as they are. Because if they weren't, they'd be in real trouble. I mean, they look safe, realistically. Particularly if Rotherham lose tonight against Brentford. I don't know. I think Cov are the better team, but based on what happened in our last game, I can see it's being a boring 0-0 draw.
0-0 draw. Next up, Luton Town take on Middlesbrough Football Club. Two teams once again playing Championship football next year. Luton, I got your prediction right. You beat Bristol City 3-2 away, and I somehow went for that, and I got it right. That was a bit of a madness. They're playing Middlesbrough, who've been okay lately, but there's been a few defeats in there, which makes you question, how good they are. But then again, they're not really playing for anything, are they? So it's another game where once again I'm like, what do I go for? I think both teams. Should I go for a draw? No, do you know what? Luton 1-0.
Yeah, I want to go for a Luton win as well this time. I think based on the last sort of month or two for Middlesbrough, I'm putting them on fraud watch. I don't think they've been that good. They started off quite well. Really thought they were going to challenge for the top six, and they just sort of didn't. I mean, they're many points off I actually see Luton winning this 2-0.
2-0. Next up, Millwall take on Bristol City. Once again, two teams playing in the Championship next year. There's plenty of games like this. I suppose you could call them dead rubbers. It's just very hard to predict these games because there's not a lot to play for. You've got the freedom of being able to play some of the players that don't usually start. So, Bristol City aren't looking very good at the moment. I think there's questions over what's going to happen at the summer there because they're ending the season really badly. And I don't usually back Millwall, so I will on this occasion. I'll go Millwall 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, Bristol City's start of the season is what's kept them up, because if they didn't, I think they were second going into sort of the 8th or 9th game of the season, or at least they're around that sort of region. And if they didn't start that well, they would really be in this relegation battle. They're only 12 points above the bottom three. Millwall should win this, really. I think 2-0.
Yeah. Next up, Norwich City take on Reading. A win for Norwich and the title is theirs. Obviously, they won the title 2 years ago as well. And congratulations on going back to the Premier League. If I haven't already mentioned that, I'm sure I have. Reading, commiserations. You're not making the top 6. Cookie was right all along. Bit of a disappointing end to the season. I watched your game against Swansea. There was glimpses there that you were playing some decent football, but I just think Reading really just very short on top 6 quality, and I'm going to go for Norwich to win this game 2-1.
Yeah, they bummed that pretty early, actually. I don't know if they forgot how to play football after we beat them 3-2. I mean, they looked sharp the first sort of 8-9 games. They looked like they'd really be up there, and I don't know what happened. They just sort of dropped away. Norwich should win this. If you look at the two teams, Norwich should win this. I want to say 3-1. I think Norwich will want to do this in style now and make sure they get promoted as champions and really send a message to the 19 other teams in the Premier League next season.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, we've got Preston North End versus Barnsley. Now, Barnsley obviously confirmed of the playoffs now, fair enough. Let's hope they do well. You know, I think they're the people's champion now. We want them to do well because they are the underdogs. But they need to try and keep some momentum going in these next couple of games. Preston North End, we saw them against Coventry. It wasn't a pretty game, but Preston are good at grinding out those kind of results. So I can see Preston being an obstacle here. I'm going to go for another 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I can see why you think that, but I think you look at the game we played against Preston, they should have had 2 penalties, really. They didn't offer anything other than those penalty shouts. I can't see them getting past Barnsley. I just think they're too good at the moment. And the last thing that they're going to want is to start dropping points and losing their form. Same with Brentford, as I mentioned. So I think Barnsley should be looking to win this 2-1.
Okay, next up we've got Rotherham United playing Blackburn Rovers. Rotherham United is still the wild card team down there because they're in the mix, aren't they? And obviously they're playing tonight against Brentford. We're recording this just before that on the Tuesday. And then they've still got another game in hand next week when they play Luton. So it's still kind of in their hands. But this is for me a winnable game because Blackburn Rovers, not the best away from home, I don't think. They've been a bit flaky recently. But then they did win 5-2 against Huddersfield. So Blackburn are a pretty hard team to predict. So, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw, which would make things quite interesting down there.
Yeah, Blackburn just haven't turned up enough this season. They've had some massive results. A couple of 4-1s, I think. The 5-2, as you mentioned, against Huddersfield. They just don't do it well enough or often enough to keep themselves above sort of the bottom half. Rotherham should really see this as a scalp to take potentially, and they create enough chances. They just can't put any of them away. So I think they'll have this game by the scruff of the neck and put one away. I don't think Blackburn will score. I think this is 1-0.
1-0. Next up, we've got Stoke City versus Queen's Park Rangers. Once again, two teams playing in the Championship next season. Another really hard game to predict. I'm going to try and base it on recent form. I think Queen's Park Rangers have been pretty good. And I do like to chuck in a goal fest every now and then. So let's go for Stoke City 1, QPR 4.
4?
Yeah.
Wow. That is a shout. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this will be 2-2. I can see some goals being in this because the teams are quite evenly matched.
Okay, next up we go to the Liberty. Swansea City confirmed of a playoff place, taking on Derby County, who still not safe yet. This is a pretty big game, I suppose, because Derby are another key team down there. Tricky. I think Derby, you can't really back them on this run they're in. I think if they stay up, they will probably stay up because the other teams are being shocking themselves. This game, I'm going to go for Swansea to win it 1-0.
Swansea have looked shaky in recent weeks, is the only thing that I'd say. I mean, you look at some of their fixtures and you go win, 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 but they've had a few dodgy draws in there. I can actually see this being 1-1. I just think Derby will get that lucky break and then Swansea will end up chasing the game. So I can see this being 1-1.
1-1. And the final game, Wycombe Wanderers taking on AFC Bournemouth, another team confirmed of the playoffs. And Wycombe Wanderers, they're virtually down, all but mathematically down. Their goal difference is quite hard.
They are down, aren't they?
They're not mathematically, but the goal difference is almost, I think it's about 12 in it. So they'd have to have a massive swing. And they'd have to win this one, probably like 3 or 4-0 to give themselves any hope. Not going to happen against Bournemouth. If anything, it's going to be 3 or 4-0 the other way. And yeah, let's go for that. Wycombe 0, Bournemouth 3.
Yeah, you're right. I've just checked the table. Wycombe are 6 points from safety with 2 games to play. If they drop any points and they're down, they're not winning this game. I'm sorry, but you're not, Wycombe fans. And actually, I can see this being quite a limp end to the season. 4-1. Back in Fenway, maybe. If it gets on to bully some of the Bournemouth back four, because they have looked a little bit dodgy at times, but they're just too good. They are too good.
So then, guys, that wraps up today's video. Make sure to get your predictions down below. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace out.